In this video, I'm going to compare the Oculus Rift with the Lenovo Explorer. Coming up. Hi and welcome to Mixed Reality TV. My name is Sebastian Ang, and if this is your first time here and you're just as excited about VR and AR as me, then subscribe now and click the bell button so you don't miss anything. The prices of the Windows MR headsets went down remarkably, and probably you wanted to buy an Oculus Rift, but now you're thinking that probably you should go for one of the Windows MR headsets. Now in this video, I'm going to compare the best of the cheap Windows MR headsets, the Lenovo Explorer with the Oculus Rift, to give you a better understanding of how they compare to allow you to make a better decision on which headset to go for. Okay, let's start our comparison with the prices. So you can get the Lenovo Explorer for $270 off of Amazon, and that's new including controllers. That's an incredible price, a very, very good price, because only 3 months ago these were new and these cost around $450. So it's a great price, absolutely fantastic, a complete bargain, especially for what the headset has to offer. And we're going to get to that later. For the Oculus Rift, you can get it for $399 off of Amazon.com, and that includes the great Oculus Touch controllers. Now, while a couple of weeks ago we thought $399 is a great price, now when we compare this with the cheaper Windows MR headsets, that price is merely okay. And you also have to keep in mind that you still will need to buy a third sensor, because the package, the bundle that you buy on Amazon, it only contains 2 sensors. But if you want to have the great 360 degrees tracking that you get with the Windows MR headsets directly out of the box, you will still have to buy a third sensor. You could use 2 sensors to emulate this kind of 360 degrees tracking, but that doesn't really work also all too well. So you have to pay another $60 to get the really, really good tracking with the Oculus Rift. And then the price is well around $460 to be able to compare with the Lenovo Explorer, which cost you $270. All right, next we're going to compare design, comfort, and features of these two devices. And let's start with design. So this is the Lenovo Explorer. It's this PSVR style of headset where all the weight of the headset rests on your forehead. It's a very, very light headset, only 380 grams. And design-wise, I think it looks very cool. It has this kind of RoboCop look to it. And yeah, you can also flip it up. So very, very nice design-wise. And now let's have a look at the Oculus Rift. It's a very, very sleek and good-looking headset as well. I think this is one of the better-looking headsets. Definitely cool. Also not really heavy, a bit over 400 grams. And well, this is a different style. It's this ski mask type of style where the headset is being pressed onto your face. I'm not a big fan of this kind of design for headsets, but still this is a good looking device. And now let's also talk about comfort. Actually, this is also a comfortable device. Not as comfortable as the Lenovo Explorer though, because this is simply so light, 380 grams only. And then in conjunction with this PSVR style, where all the weight rests on your forehead, you merely feel it on your head. So if I have to compare those two headsets side by side in terms of comfort, definitely the Lenovo Explorer will win. I can be in this for hours, while in this headset, well, it's also not bad in terms of comfort, but it really cannot compete against this one. This is heavier. Also, you have to press it against your face. It's definitely a win for the Lenovo Explorer in terms of comfort. Now let's compare the features of these two devices, and let's start with the Oculus Rift. The Oculus Rift has these great headphones which are directly attached to the headset. Also, it has a microphone, so you can directly talk with your teammates when you play multiplayer games. This is really cool and it works very, very well. And then, very important, now I have to stress this, this is very important, it has a manual IPD adjustment here. So what is an IPD adjustment? Well, an IPD adjustment is used to change the distance of the two lenses towards each other. Now that's important. If your IPD, if your interpupillary distance, the distance between your eyes, is not the average 64 millimeters, for example, if it's 70 plus millimeters or if it's 54 millimeters, then you can adjust the IPD here of the headset and you are good to go. Now, I stress this so clearly here because the Lenovo Explorer does not have this manual adjustment. So this is only good for people who have the average IPD of 64 or a few millimeters higher or lower. For all other people who have an IPD of, like, let's say 70 plus or 55 or lower, you cannot buy this headset and you can stop watching this video and you can directly go and buy the Oculus Rift, because that is really something that the Lenovo Explorer does not have. It does have something called software adjustment, where in the software you can adjust the IPD. But honestly speaking, that is not really good. It does not really work well and you will have big problems. So if your IPD is not of the average or around the average, do not go for the Lenovo Explorer, go for the Oculus Rift. So some features that this device has that the Oculus Rift does not have. Well, it has here a 3.5 millimeters audio jack. Yeah, because it does not have headphones and it doesn't have a microphone. So you can simply put your own headphones here. And another thing that the Oculus Rift does not have, but that the Lenovo Explorer has, is this flip-up display. So if you're in VR and you want to make a break to grab your beer, then you simply will open this here and you can do so. It's very, very cool. It's simply a great invention and I really got used to it. It's fantastic. So the Lenovo Explorer has a flip-up display, it has an audio jack, and it does not have a manual IPD adjustment. Now let's talk about the panels, the lenses, and the FOV. So let me remind you, this is a device from 2016, and this, the Lenovo Explorer, is a device which is merely 3 months old. And yeah, well, you can tell there's going to be a difference. Now, for the display, the Oculus Rift has a display resolution of 1200 times 1080 per eye. And the Lenovo Explorer has a resolution of 1440 times 1440 per eye. So the Lenovo Explorer has a higher resolution, much higher than that of the Oculus Rift. And of course, you can tell the picture looks clearer and sharper on the Lenovo Explorer. It's easier to read text. Everything looks better. So, and that is the case even though this has an OLED display, the Oculus Rift, while this here has an LCD display. So normally you would think, oh, the LCD display cannot be as good as the one from the OLED display, but that is not true. If you compare the pictures of the Lenovo Explorer with the Oculus Rift, the Lenovo Explorer wins. So that is very important, and also very interesting to see this here, the Oculus Rift has big problems with God rays. First of all, this is really not nice. There's lots of God rays going on, and this problem, you won't have it so much in the Lenovo Explorer, even though the Lenovo Explorer also is using Fresnel lenses. So that is really, really interesting. Definitely a step up in the Lenovo Explorer. The picture will look better. However, there is one advantage that the Oculus Rift for sure has. The sweet spot is bigger in the Oculus Rift. So the sweet spot, the spot where everything looks really sharp, is easier to find with the Oculus Rift than with the Lenovo Explorer. But once you have it with the Lenovo Explorer, everything looks really good. Now let's compare the FOV, the field of view of these two devices. Now, both devices claim to have an FOV of around 110 degrees, and that is about accurate. So there is no big difference in FOV for these two devices. So both devices have a really nice FOV. The Lenovo Explorer has actually the best FOV of those cheap Windows MR headsets. And yeah, well, the Oculus Rift has a really good FOV as well. Not as good as the Samsung Odyssey or the HTC Vive, but really good FOV as well. Next, we're going to compare the controllers that come with the two headsets, and I can directly tell you it's a clear win for the Oculus Rift. The Oculus Rift comes with the Oculus Touch controllers, and these controllers are simply the best VR controllers that you can find in VR right now. They are incredible. So why are they so good? Well, they are super ergonomic. After a while, you will kind of forget that you're holding them in your hands, and you can simply enjoy full hand presence in VR. So super ergonomic. Then here you have this trigger button, you have the grip button here, and also what you have here, you have a joypad, and you have capacitive buttons on the controller. So the controller knows if you, for example, point your finger at something, or if you have your fingers not gripping the controller. It is so cool within VR. So hand presence in VR works the best with the Oculus Touch controllers, and it's so great for full immersion. Now, that is the controller, or this is the controller that comes with the Lenovo Explorer. It is the Windows MR controller, the one that comes with all the other headsets as well. Now, it is not as ergonomic as the Oculus Touch controller, and you will not forget that you're holding this. It does not feel so great, but they're also not bad. So I would say they get their job done. But this is really the best thing that you can say about these controllers. Now, yeah, probably you can say one more good thing, and that is that they have a touch pad here and a joystick. So if you want to play the HTC Vive games that are made with the HTC Vive wands in mind, which has a touchpad, then you can easily play them with these controllers, and all the Oculus games you can play them with the joypad. So that is a really good part about the Windows MR controllers. And yeah, they are getting their job done, but they can really not compete against the Oculus Touch controllers. So now let's talk about the tracking of the two devices. First, the headset tracking, and then the controller tracking. So there are big differences here. For the Lenovo Explorer, it uses the so-called inside-out technology. The headset has two cameras here, and with these two cameras, it will check the space around you, and it can tell where it is in space. So you do not need any base stations for that. That is really fantastic. You simply plug it into your computer, and that's it. That also means you can easily bring it over to a friend, or you can even bring it on holiday if you want to, if you bring your laptop. This is super convenient, and the tracking with those two cameras works very, very well. For the Oculus Rift, that's totally different. We do not have inside-out tracking, but we have the tracking that still uses base stations or sensors in this case. So with the bundle for $399, you get two of these sensors. And these sensors, you put them up, you put them left and right next to your computer, and then you have some kind of front-facing tracking. So unlike the Lenovo Explorer or the Windows MR headsets, we directly have a 360 degrees tracking where you can look around and you're fully tracked no matter where you look. That's not the case with the Oculus Rift. If you face with your back towards the base stations, then your controllers won't be tracked, for example, because your body is between the sensors and the controllers. That is a problem, and in that case you will need a third sensor if you want the same good 360 degrees tracking. Now you can also set up the two base stations to do 360 degrees tracking, but I tried that and it does not work in all the cases very well. So it does work, but you will lose tracking sometimes, and it's not 100% perfect. If you want to have perfect 360 degrees tracking with the Oculus Rift, then you will need a third base station, which will set you back another $60. Now let's compare the controller tracking. How good is the controller tracking with the Oculus Rift and how good is it with the Windows MR headsets, and here especially with the Lenovo Explorer. So probably you've heard some Oculus Rift and HTC Vive fans say, oh, the Windows MR controller tracking is so bad. Well, don't believe it, it is simply not true. The Windows MR controller tracking is pretty damn good, and I have made a whole video to prove that point, and you can have a look at that video here. So yeah, the Windows controller tracking is pretty good, and in most of the cases you won't have any problems. However, I also have to tell you that yes, it is true, the controller tracking of the Oculus Rift with 3 sensors is better than that of the controller tracking of the Lenovo Explorers, but really with 3 sensors only. If you only have 2 sensors on the right and left of your computer, then the controller tracking with the Windows MR devices and with the Lenovo Explorer will be better, because you will have controller tracking no matter if you're moving around in 360 degrees, and you won't have that with the 2 controller tracking of the Oculus Rift. But with 3 base stations, the controller tracking of the Oculus Rift will be perfect. It will be wonderful, and yes, it will be better than that of the Lenovo Explorer. The weakness of the Lenovo Explorer controller tracking is that if the controller is out of the field of view of the 2 cameras, like for example, if it's here behind your head, for example, then the controller won't be tracked. But really, how often is that the case? Now, if you're wondering, does it still work for the first-person shooters like BAM, Onwards, Pavlov, where sometimes you have to get a weapon from your back like this? I can tell you, yes, it works. It works really nice. And I've also made a video just about that controller tracking for the Windows MR devices for the first-person shooters. And if you want, you can check out the video here as well. So, controller tracking on the Windows MR devices on the Lenovo Explorer, very good. Controller tracking for the Oculus Rift with 3 base stations, fantastic. Now let's talk about the question, which games can both headsets play? Or better, which stores can both headsets access? And well, great news for both headsets. Both headsets can access Steam VR, so with both headsets you can play all the Steam VR games. Now, well, with the Oculus Rift, of course, you can access the Oculus Store and get all the Oculus games there. However, also with the Lenovo Explorer, you can also play the Oculus games with a software called Revive, and I've made a video that teaches you how to do that. So with both headsets, you can play all the games. Now, with the Lenovo Explorer, you can also access the Windows Store, the Microsoft Store. And in the future, there might be some interesting exclusive titles like Halo. So with the Lenovo Explorer, you can really access all the stores. Now, with all that said, let's get to the final conclusion. So for $270, the Lenovo Explorer is a real bargain, and it compares really favorable to the Oculus Rift, as you've seen in this video. It has a great display, which is better than that of the Oculus Rift. It is super comfortable and is incredibly convenient, since you don't have to put up any of the base stations, and you can still play all the games that this one can play. So it's a great bargain. It's $130 cheaper than the Oculus Rift, and that is even when you've not yet bought the 3rd sensor for the Oculus Rift. So then after you've bought the sensor for the Oculus Rift, the price difference will be $190. And is the Oculus Rift $190 better than the Lenovo Explorer? I really don't think so. However, the Oculus Rift is still a great device, and the big advantage that it has over the Lenovo Explorer is the manual IPD adjustment. If your IPD is not anywhere near the average of 64 millimeters, then no question, go for the Oculus Rift, because it has a manual IPD adjustment, and you simply don't have this with the Lenovo Explorer. So that is very clear. If you don't have the average of 64 millimeters, go for the Oculus Rift. Also, if you need the 100% perfect tracking of your controllers. Like, for example, if you play first-person shooters competitively, then you also need to go for the Oculus Rift. But again, you need to buy the third sensor. Yeah, but in general, in all the other cases, you will be super happy to go for the Lenovo Explorer. It's such an incredibly comfortable and great device, and for $270 again, it's a steal. But for all of you who don't care about the $190 price difference, you can get the Oculus Rift without any problems. It's just like buying a 10-year-old Mercedes-Benz. You know, the tech is not really up to date anymore, but it's still a dream to drive that car, right? So Oculus Rift is still awesome, and you have Oculus, the company behind it, who is completely dedicated to VR, and they're doing great stuff with the headset and with the software for it. So both devices really great, but in general, if you want to save some money, go for the Lenovo Explorer. You will not regret it. Great headset, fantastic specs, and you're gonna have lots of fun. If you have any more questions about these two headsets or about VR in general, please do leave them in the comment section, or much better, directly ask me, directly chat with me on the MRTV Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. It's not just me, there's a great community of like-minded people. It's so much fun to be on the MRTV Discord server. It's a great free resource. And again, you can simply get there by clicking on the link in the description below. And that's it for this video. I really hope that it was helpful for you. If yes, give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you have not subscribed to Mixed Reality TV yet, do so now. I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.